G'day guys, Matt Zadie here from Manitou Australia. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the brand new MLT-X 741 TLSU. So those of you familiar with the Manitou range will remember a few years ago we had a 7 metre 4.1 tonne machine. It's back now but as a TLSU in two different finish levels, which I'll explain in a second. First, let's understand the Manitou modelling. MLT is Manitou Loader Telescopic. Anything with that L means it's an agricultural telehandler built for agricultural conditions as well as agricultural levels of power, comfort, cooling packs and design, just to name a few. X means this is a Region 2 machine. Region 2 in Australia, our part of the world, means we're a 3A Perkins engine, no DPF, no AdBlue. The numbers, 7 metre maximum lift height and then 4.1 tonne maximum capacity. With the reintroduction of this model, we've gone with two finish levels for Australia. Premium finish for our agricultural customer as well as a classic finish for our construction customer, allowing us two options in the 4 tonne range for our market. Let's take a walk around and check out what we got with this machine here. Starting at the top, you'll notice big bright LED working lights. As we work our way down, road lights are standard, meaning conditional rego is no problem. Big wipers and big visible area out of the cab. Handy little toolbox mounted at the front of the machine to store any chains, lifting gear, grease gun, whatever you want to keep in there, some basic tools, as well as the biggest question we get asked at most shows and field days, what's this bit of box tubing for? Serves two purposes. This is where you slide your attachment locking pin. Now, not only does it stop you from losing your attachment locking pin out in the field when you're changing attachment, but also it's a great visual indicator from the cab for the operator that they haven't put the locking pin back into their attachment, making sure it's safe and secure. As we head on down, you'll notice we use double U-bolts holding the chassis, mounting the chassis I should say, onto Dana Spicer axles, as well as one of my favourite features synonymous with the entire Manitou range, steering arms above the axles. This is a rough terrain machine in rough terrain environments. Protecting those steering arms with the big heavy axle is a great point of difference. We also have remote greasing points mounted all around the machine, meaning you don't have to crawl under the machine going and searching for your regular greasing and maintenance points. I'll take the opportunity while we're here as well to point out that on this range we have oil immersed disc brakes on the front and the rear. Increased stopping power as well as stable stopping power, which is important when it comes to the safety management system of a telehandler. When you step around and look at the boom, you'll notice material baffle brushes on the front protecting any debris getting inside the boom. You'll also notice that the boom shape, those familiar with the construction range, is very different. This is an agricultural dedicated boom built to handle the rigors of ag, which primarily includes the use of a bucket. Bucket use compared to pick and place use is very different and very harsh on the machine. Even the positioning of the welds is optimized to ensure that this boom head can handle your day-to-day activities very well. You have your third function auxiliaries if you want to run a 4-in-1 bucket, a grab, whatever your function may be, simply off the joystick. And then we move down to the hitch. Before we get onto the hitch, you're going to notice one big thing and something that's very important when you're looking at a telehandler. Your crowd and dump cylinder is located underneath the boom head. It's protected from falling debris, but also means that your crowd and dump cylinder is doing what a cylinder is designed to do when you're breaking out from a pile or picking up a load. It is pushing. A lot of brands and manufacturers out there, their cylinders will work in reverse, meaning that they're not optimizing the efficiency of your cylinder. Down towards the bottom of the ag range as well, you'll notice that there's an articulator rod. This allows us an extra 4 degrees of tip at maximum angle, ensuring you can really empty that bucket, whether it's into a feed mixer, into a truck, into a wagon. That extra 4 degrees of dump is imperative when you're loading and unloading. One thing that often gets overlooked when you're considering your telehandler and your purchase, you're going to drive your machine in rough terrain. So the Manitou hitch, at least in my opinion, is probably one of the best on the market, purely because you have this entire span, and if you look at your attachment, you have this entire width in which to pick up and release your attachment. What that means is you're on farm, you're not sitting on perfect level ground like concrete here. You can pick up this attachment even if it's sitting at a big angle, because all you have to do is grab that bottom corner, give it a nudge and it'll fall into place. We'll show you that a little bit later on. As we come around the front of the machine, again you'll notice the remote greasing points, front toe point, your double U-bolts as I mentioned before, and again the steering arms still above the axle. Stepping around to the business end of the machine, open the engine bay. Again, as mentioned, it's a 3A Perkins engine. This engine and this configuration has been around for the best part of 20 years. This is what I like to call the Hilux of the Manitou range. And not the Hilux, the new ones, the Hilux that Top Gear like to drop off a building and go that way. Great combination, works very well. Massive cooling packs, perfect for our hot Australian summers. You'll notice there's 3 cooling packs here. You have your engine cooler, your turbo intercooler, as well as your hydraulic cooler. Parked up in front of that, you have easy access to your battery, as well as a battery isolator. As you step around, you'll see that all your maintenance points for your daily checks and weekly checks are very easy to get to. Your fuel water separator with the ability to drain as necessary, right front and center, your air box, and your vortex pre-cleaner. Especially those dusty environments, this is absolutely imperative. Before we keep walking around the machine, I will point out the cooling system is completely separate to the rest of the engine bay and seals in very nicely to keep your debris out, as well as comes with a hood to stop anything sitting and caking on and blocking up your coolers. This little symbol here is your warning. I mentioned this is an Ag telehandler. Reverse fan is standard on our entire Ag range. I like to say it's a set and forget system. Flick the switch, leave it on, and the machine will do an auto reverse every 3 to 5 minutes depending on the model. Set and forget, easy maintenance, clean it off nice and simple. Lock the hood, around we go. You have your exhaust stack up nice and high away from anyone possibly walking past, as well as any of your animals walking around farm. They're not going to get burnt, and it's also pushing the fumes away from the machine and away from the operator. Your diesel fuel point nice and high, as well as you have your lights for your road lighting nice and conveniently located. Lights for your number plates all nice and high. I'll duck around in front of the camera again. Again, you'll see our remote greasing points, steering arms above the axle again, and the little black box in there, which is your strain gauge for your telehandler. Now that little black box is very important because that is what measures your load management system, ensuring you're safe, not tipping the machine over, hurting you or someone else operating the machine. With this model here, the 741 is a beefed up 735 TLSU. No reinvention needed on the machine. We took the counterweight off the 4-ton new Ag range machine, beefed up the lift cylinders, and here you have the machine in its current configuration. Tow point, rear mirror mounting, as well as ability for a trailer, all come on a standard in the premium finish for Australia. Industrial engineering sized pins, ensuring that if you do have to do regular boom maintenance, you're not stuck trying to knock out a little pin through the center like you see on some of the other manufacturers around. Safety is always first. This is your boom locking pin. Now, although telehandlers are fitted with a counterbalance valve, meaning if you cut a hose, it's not likely to drop. If you're ever working underneath the boom, please put this in place to protect you or your workers. Hydraulic fill point, up out of the way so people don't accidentally contaminate your fuel. And on the side right down here, the magic little spot, here's your remote greasing point for the rest of your chassis, all tucked in underneath there. Your aircon unit specifically designed that anything sitting on there falls away and falls away from the cooling packs. You also have your rear working lights up at the top here. Stepping around, split window, so you can see out the cab looking like a good sort as you drive your machine. One tip for all the sales guys out there and anyone showing someone else using the machine, don't do this and flounder around like a silly salmon trying to unlock the window. You got a little button under here and off she goes. One more thing we'll point out, when you are walking around the machine, you ever chasing an operator's manual, someone hasn't left it in the cab, you have a convenient QR code on the side of the machine that'll take you straight to where you need to be to get all the information on the machine. Next, we're going to jump inside the cab and I'm going to show you a few features of the machine. So inside the cab, it's a nice place to be for starters, but it's a very simple, easy to use cab by design. Starting off with the Manitou patented JSM. So Manitou football, Manitou mouse, whatever you want to call it. This is called the JSM, joystick switch and move. It's designed for how you sit on your couch at home. No one sits on their couch at home with their hand like this. No one sits using a mouse on a computer like this. Your hand rests on there. It's a big feature, big function, very important for you when you're working all day on the machine. It's designed to be used exactly how my hand's sitting there right there, with your forward, neutral, reverse on your first finger, your top roller in an Ag machine being your third function auxiliaries, and then your bottom roller being your telescope in and out on the machine. Now for Australian standards, we have to have operator presence And on the front here, you'll see this little black disc known as a haptic. So this will detect the presence of your hand and automatically engage the functions. If you do try and use it like this and don't give it a nice handful, she's not going to work. So get your hand on there, give it a good grip, and off you go. Nice comfort operating. Very simple rocker switches to control the machine. At the back here, if you ever want to fool someone playing with the machine, flick this one here. What that does is cut your hydraulic function. So if you're roading down the machine, make sure you don't want to tip your forks into the ground or something like that. Hit that and you won't accidentally bump the machine and move a hydraulic function. ECS, this is a big one. So ECS is Easy Connect System. What that does is it dumps the pressure from the third function line back to the tank, meaning you can disconnect your 4-in-1 bucket, your grab bucket, whatever you have connected, without the need to turn off the machine, jiggle the joystick like an old tractor. On this machine, we have 3 steering modes: 4-wheel steer, 2-wheel steer, and crab steer, and easy to adjust with a simple lever. This machine comes with a 4-speed power shuttle transmission, so it's a torque converter transmission with 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th gear. 1st obviously for your heavy earth moving, and 4th gear for your maximum ground speed. detent button on the back of the shifter allows you to change between your steering modes. Your load moment indicator up at the front here with your lights green, yellow and red, detecting your stability of the machine. Your parachute button, if it all goes tits up and you're in a bit of strife, you have it on there, as well as basic simple analog gauges showing you the information you need to have. Bluetooth radio so you can play your tunes as you're going through, and then back to a very easy to use switch panel, 5 switches, very easy. Hazard lights, driving lights, your reverse fan, as I said before, set and forget. Leave that on, it'll do a blow every 3 to 5 minutes. This little button here does one thing and one thing only. It turns these lights on and off. The lights here are the important part. With this on, when your steering wheels are straight, whether it be in 4-wheel steer or 2-wheel steer, this will indicate that your wheels are straight. These are your wheel alignment lights. Very important when you're changing between 2-wheel steer to 4-wheel steer to make sure you get the maximum efficiency out of your steering control. This last one here is your engine or transmission disconnect pedal. So when you're in the pedal, you're going to feel 3 bumps. There's 2 bumps, excuse me. Your first bump and your second bump. The first bump here activates a micro switch, which I'm going to show you right now. Hand up. So you'll see on here, your first bump of your pedal, this is what activates that little switch there. What that does is cut drive through your transmission, meaning you can keep a boot full of RPM into the machine and not have to overdrive the machine on your brake pedal. As you progress further into the braking system, then you're engaging your brakes. Whilst we're here, brake fluid as well as your windscreen washer fluid, nice and convenient, easy to locate. Simple to put back on the panel, slide it in, and put the bolt in. Cooling vents for your aircon located all the way around the machine. Emergency stop. For those hot summer days, you have a screen to stop your noggin getting burnt from up at the top, as well as down at the front. Keep that sun out of your eyes, keep it nice and safe while you're loading. Flick here just to remove. Lateral and longitudinal indicators, as well as some more working lights and windscreen wiper switches up above your head. Armrest folds down on your air suspension seat. To adjust the seat, you can adjust both forward and back, depending on your height, as well as adjust to your weight. With the machine running, flick the switch there, the seat will automatically adjust to the weight of the operator. Last but not least, you've got your handbrake, which is an over-center handbrake, and through it goes, and your emergency exit if you have to break the glass. Convenient storage for your operator's manual, maintenance books, and the most important part, if you're ever chasing parts, information on your machine, the identification plate with the machine serial number, year of manufacture, and all the other important information on the machine. Launch, our end of financial year catalogue has some great launch offers for the new MLT-X 741 TLSU. Stock available on the ground now, ready for immediate delivery. Contact your local Manitou Australia authorised dealer. 104 points of sale around Australia. Can't go wrong. Cheers, guys.